Hello tribe, welcome back to Crow's Whisper Tarot. Today we'll be looking at breakthroughs that are coming in for you for any challenges that you are facing. So let's delve into the reading. So here are the piles. We have pile 1 with the 3rd house, pile 2 with Scorpio, and pile 3 with the 1st house. Take your time selecting your piles and we'll jump into the reading. Hello pile 1, welcome to your reading. You have the 3rd house, communication, as the challenge that you are currently facing. So it could be for some of you that it is related to social media or communication in general with other people, but you're finding it a bit challenging to try and get your point across. And what is coming through for you is that there is new avenues that are coming through for you in terms of communication. And it's just a matter of you trying to take that sort of approach and make sure that you have all the resources that you need in order to put your point across. So it could be needing to do more research, needing to sort of practice in front of the mirror a lot of the time with trying to get your point across. And what you're probably going to find is with the Tower, it's something that inspiration for getting through this obstacle will come through very suddenly, and usually after some sort of setback is what I'm getting for you. So it could be that you tried something, done a presentation for example, and didn't feel like you really achieved it, or you didn't get the result that you thought you would, and that causes you to have a little more, I guess, unconventional inspiration. And that leads you to getting through this obstacle that you're facing. And the main thing for you guys is to really reflect on things that have occurred, good or bad, and really take the time and sort of honing in to those and make sure that whatever you put forth is going to be something that is very clear, very concise, and not sort of waffle, so to speak. And again, with that hard work coming through for you guys, it's going to take a lot of skill to really hone into this 3rd house energy. The reason being, communication is something that, yes, we do all the time, but there's certain nuances that you probably need to hone into and skillfully sort of manipulate. A lot of the times, it can be that it could be your tone, or with what I'm picking up, it's more so the sort of nuances that you use with your voice, and even the amount of projection that you have, especially with the 3 of Wands energy, and that's probably what's impacting your growth. And so the main thing that you guys need to sort of focus in on is being calm and assertive, and really sort of playing into what the audience is sort of needing. A lot of the time it could be that with whatever you're doing, because as humans we have to communicate somehow, but with whatever you choose to do with that information, you have to sort of play into the person that you're speaking to or writing to, and creating for, because in the end, I think you have the basics of what you want to do and say, but to manipulate it to suit your audience, I think is something that hasn't quite set in yet, but that's something that will take time for you to develop based on what's happening for you. But there's definitely light at the end of the tunnel. This is something that I think you will definitely overcome and draw into, but it's also a resource that you need to really focus on, because with the Ace of Cups, it's connecting to other people's hearts, it's being open, it's being vulnerable, and that's something that is not easy to do, or necessarily portray as well. So it's something that you just need to work on and hone into so that you can sort of get past whatever this obstacle is. So as another example, the way I see this is, let's say you're in the medical profession and you're trying to, address certain issues with whoever you're speaking to. It could be that in the way you respond is a lot of medical jargon, and that's not being addressed well for your audience. So what you need to do is connect to their hearts, and that also is getting back to their level, and so you need to manipulate yourself to accommodate that. So that is what I'm picking up for you guys. Now, in terms of additional messages for you as to time frames of how you can get past this challenge, it's a bit tricky with the Tower, but let's just get a few other cards to determine exactly when this will happen. So we have the Five of Cups reversed and the Five of Pentacles reversed. So what this shows me is that regardless of what you're experiencing, it's all about being able to absorb the feedback and criticism that you're getting from others, and trying to draw upon that and make it your strength. With the Five of Cups, typically it's about some sort of loss, but it's also being able to reflect on that loss of that heartbreak and being able to get stronger from it. And same thing with the Five of Pentacles. It's all about being able to go from a dark place where you don't have the resources that you need, and being able to pull yourself up and get help from others and get support from others, and being able to draw upon that. So that's just something that you will need to eventually work through, is getting resources from others, being able to openly express the issues that you're having to mentors, to friends, to family, so that you can really build upon this skill that you're clearly working towards. So that was your reading, pile 1. I hope you enjoyed it. Please do like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye. Hello, pile 2. So let's look at your challenge with Scorpio with Investigate. This seems to be a big theme for you guys, where you're able to absorb negativity and put it back in positive energy, but sometimes it does drain you quite a bit, being able to constantly sort of regenerate yourself, to being able to grow continuously and change for people around you and adapt to their energies. I'm not sure if some of you are empaths or not, but I'm picking up very much that you're trying to get your energy and focus it more in a positive light, which is quite a good thing, but it can also be quite draining to do a lot of the time. And to help you get through this energy, we have the King of Wands reversed. And the reason I think you guys are struggling is that you're trying to always put your best foot forward, which is not a bad thing, but what you end up doing is trying to force yourself to seem like something you're not. And it's that false bravado and false image that you're trying to portray, which is why it's so difficult to do and that you're struggling with. And it's important that you consider what is genuine for you. Scorpionic energy, yes, it is very strong, very sort of forceful and hard to approach, but what you're doing is using that energy to portray yourself as something you're not, and that ends up going against that Scorpionic energy. And with Death card reversed as well, which is very much a Scorpio energy, it shows that the way you're trying to approach this is not to your benefit. And what you want is for things to be free-flowing, to be like water. And what you're doing is trying to manipulate yourself to either seem very upbeat or seem very put together. And that isn't necessarily what you want to portray, or be forced to portray. It's something that should come naturally. And what the issue with this is that people can sense that false energy that you're putting forward as well. So the way to overcome it is very much complete and utter transformation. Breaking down whatever you've tried to do and tried to create and go back to scratch. That is the only way that you can really go and make this easier for you, and also more natural for people seeing you with whatever it is that you are doing. We also have the Five of Pentacles. Now with this, again, going from scratch, going from poverty, going from nothing, and being able to reflect and see what is your genuine self, how do you actually want to be portrayed, and being able to put that forward and give it a reason. I think that's the main thing, because with everything that you have been doing is you're clearly trying to achieve something that's very powerful, very meaningful to you, and that's something that is amazing. But what it does show is that you haven't been doing it in a way where others can see that genuine thoughts and genuine energy that you're trying to put forward. And that's resulting in quite a bit of struggle for you guys. And also we have the Nine of Wands. So there's a lot of hardship that you're trying to overcome and really hone in on. But the issue is, I think for you guys, is that you don't seem to be able to really push your own thoughts forward enough that you're able to get a good reaction from the people around you. So even if it's hard work, even if you're feeling like things are really draining at the moment, it's important to know that whatever it is that is happening for you guys, you put your best foot forward and you make sure that you really try to communicate as best as you can what your genuine self is. And that's through your actions, and that's through the subconscious signs that you put forward as well. And try not to be on the defensive. Try to be vulnerable. Try to really make sure that you're showing people who you are, where you're coming from, and explaining your thoughts really clearly. Because a lot of the times, I think what you might have tried to do is focus more so on trying to seem a certain way, in order to make someone else happy. And that's not what you should try and do. It should be that you are your genuine self, and if you help someone, that shows that you care. If you say something kind, that shows that you care. And I think what's happened over time is you try and really almost over exaggerate the way you want to be portrayed, and that ends up to your detriment, so to speak. So let's get a few more cards as to how you can overcome this. We have the Queen of Pentacles and we have the Three of Wands. So it's interesting because with the Queen of Pentacles, she is someone who puts herself out there as her genuine self. She has every resource that she needs within herself and around her. And she doesn't need to overcomplicate what is being portrayed. And it's almost like what you see is what you get sort of energy with her. And it's very different from what you would expect. It's a lot more mellow, it's a lot more subtle, and I think that's what you sort of need to go for. Is I think you've tried to almost put yourself out as the King of Wands, who is very outgoing, very out there, almost show-offy to some extent, but what you want to do is be a little more subtle with your approach to things, and that will lead to a lot more benefit to you compared to trying to almost be the alpha, so to speak. We also have the Three of Wands, so that means that you guys need to focus in on finding your genuine self and really putting that out there. Again, that theme is coming up again for you guys, where you need to focus in on expanding your own perspective of yourself, so that you can make others see that side of yourself. And that's very important for you guys to really see a difference and get that breakthrough moment for you. So that was your reading, pile 2. I hope you enjoyed it. Please do like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye. Hello Pile 3, welcome to your reading of what your obstacle is, and we have the first house with arrival. So some of you have been finding it's a lot more challenging to really absorb into your personal energy and being able to show that off. And with the Page of Cups here, it seems like a lot of the time when you're trying to put yourself out there, you really hesitate to open up. And yes, Page of Cups tends to be a childlike energy, but it's also, in this case, more of you trying to restrain yourself to fit your environment. And the reason I say that is it seems like a lot of the time when you're trying to absorb into your first house energy of putting yourself forward and showing yourself off and presenting your true self, it seems like you're trying to block yourself off depending on the crowd you're in. And that's not your genuine self. And it's almost like you're sleeping on what is genuinely you, and you're trying to almost let others overshadow who you are, or let them, put false ideas forward just because they've known you in a certain environment. And I think that is something that if you lean into too much, you end up losing who you are. For example, if you were in a crowd with, people that knew when you were, 5 years old, and their idea of who you are is very different from how you've grown up and how you've changed, and they haven't seen that, but they still have that image of you in their mind. You can't let that sort of rule over your entire being. And it's important that you counteract anything that is being said to you that is negative, especially with the 10 of Swords here as well. It seems like you guys almost let people have their judgment, and then whatever they say or do, that ends up being what you think is right. And it's important that you have your own sense of self-compass and see yourself as someone who is strong and powerful and has enough resources for themselves and others. With the King of Pentacles, it's all about having an appreciation for yourself, knowing how far you've come, the community you have built around you, being able to see and accept everything that you have done for yourself, and appreciating those parts of yourself. That is very important. And I think over time you sort of put in these little obstacles for yourself where you're not able to let yourself shine and let yourself be genuine. And with the Ace of Wands here as well, it seems like the best way forward for you and to get that breakthrough moment is to just try and ignore all the white noise that you're getting from the people around you. Just focus in on who you are, what you've brought, and your inner power. That's something that you need to really hone into, is that you have this amazing spark, and it's up to you whether you let that fizzle out or if you let that shine brighter. And that's why a perspective shift is really important for you guys. It's something that you need to really embrace. It's not an easy journey necessarily, but regardless of how old you are and when you're watching this, but it's important that regardless you still let yourself shine. And part of that is understanding who you are, which it seems like you, with the first house energy, you pretty much know exactly who you are, but you're letting the opinions of others overshadow what you know about yourself. And so it's really important that you essentially shift their perspective of you and counteract anything that they say. For example, if, someone that you've known for a long time says, oh, you're this type of person because that's how you've always been, you counteract that with all your achievements and everything that you've done. It's important that you do that because it makes you know your worth. And I think that's something that you need to focus more so on, is knowing your worth and knowing how far you've come over time in life. And it's important that you see that for yourself. Now, we have the King of Wands. King of Wands is not only an entrepreneur, but also someone who knows their worth and is showing that off, full-on confidence, but it's not confidence that is like the Knight of Wands, where they really struggle to find their purpose. This is the energy where you know your worth, you're showing it off subtly, in a sense of knowing yourself enough. It's a very powerful energy. We also have the Death card. This is very similar to sort of the opposite, I would say, of pile 2. But this is the energy where you are transformative, you are strong, you're independent, you're constantly growing, and you know your worth. And that's how you should present yourself, as someone who is confident and has a lot of strength and should be seen in that state. And you should present yourself in that state because that's who you are and that's how you should shine. And that's very important that you put that part of yourself forward. So that is your reading, pile 3. I hope you enjoyed it. Please do like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.